Welcome back to another episode of A Word to the Wise. Today, I want to talk about something every one of us faces: our emotions. We live in a culture that often tells us to either suppress our emotions or conquer them through sheer willpower. But Scripture gives us a different path. The goal isn't to pretend we don't have emotions, nor is it to master them on our own. The goal is to bring them to God and allow Him to master them through us. Emotions are not bad. Emotions are just emotions. How we deal with them determines whether their outcome is good or bad. We can be angry without allowing anger to make you do something rash. Be angry, but sin not. You can feel deeply in love without letting that euphoria blind your judgments. You can feel anxious without allowing that anxiety to grow into crippling fear. The problem isn't the emotion, the problem is what we do with it. And if anyone showed us how to handle emotions, it was Jesus. The Gospels reveal that Jesus experienced the full range of human emotions, from sad to joyful, from betrayed to fulfilled. In Mark 3:5, we see where Jesus was angry with his colleagues and the religious leaders. In fact, Jesus was deeply distressed at their stubborn hearts. And Jesus expressed grief and sorrow, especially through the actions of other people. He wept, John 11:35, at the hard hearts of family, friends, and the community. He wept over Jerusalem, his own people who rejected him repeatedly. And perhaps most powerfully, Jesus experienced deep distress and agony in the Garden of Gethsemane. Jesus said, "My soul is overwhelmed with sorrow to the point of death." Matthew 26:38. In fact, the pain was so deep that tears of blood poured down Jesus' cheeks. Think about that for a moment. The Son of God experienced emotions so intense that he described himself as overwhelmed. Yet Jesus never sinned, or in this context, allowed the emotion to rule his actions. Why? Because he didn't allow his emotions to lead or master him. Instead, he took his emotions, how he felt, directly to God, who ministered to him and helped him overcome. This may be the greatest example of emotional surrender in all of Scripture. Jesus was overwhelmed. He was distressed. He was in agony. What did he do? He prayed. He prayed. Then he prayed again. Then he prayed a third time. Notice that he didn't have one quick conversation with God and instantly feel better. Sometimes it takes time. He kept going back. Each time his peace grew a little bit more. Sometimes once is not enough. Sometimes mastering our emotions is a process. Sometimes we have to return to God again and again and again. Jesus was completely honest with his Father. He said, "My Father, if it is possible, may this cup be taken from me." He openly expressed what he was feeling. But at the same time, he prayed, "Yet not as I will, but as you will." That's the key. You can be honest about your feelings while remaining surrendered to God's call and God's will. That's not sacrilege. After those repeated, sincere, and agonizing prayers, Jesus had the strength to master his emotions and continue to fight. You too can feel overwhelmed and still obey. You too can feel afraid and still trust. You too can feel sorrow and still move forward, especially after traumatic experiences or where people have hurt you. And that's a lesson for all of us. We often try to overcome emotions through self-discipline alone. No, Jesus shows us a different way. We bring our emotions to God and allow Him to strengthen us. Jesus himself said in John 15:5, apart from me, you can do nothing. Not some things, nothing. If the Son of God continually depended on the Father in regards to mastering his emotions, how much more do we need him? Mastering our emotions isn't about becoming emotionally strong enough on our own. It's about becoming dependent enough on God to see the success, to be able to plow through. It's not fake it till you make it. It's not you can do it on your own. So when grief comes, what do? We go to God. When anger comes, go to God. When anxiety comes, go to God. When fear comes, go to God. And if you need to go back a second time, a third time, a fourth time, do it. Keep bringing your emotions into His presence until they are submitted to His will. Because victory isn't found in controlling yourself apart from God. Victory is found in surrendering yourself to God. And as you do, you'll discover that God doesn't always remove the emotion immediately, but He will always provide His strength, the strength you need to keep walking in His purpose. That's how we master our emotions, not by overcoming them alone, but by giving them to God and watch Him work through us. I'm not saying that it will be easy. It can be hard as you're surrendering, as you're giving God that pain that you want to hold sometimes and keep. But God says, release. Release it to Him, and He will see it through. And also, vengeance is His, so He will repay in those places where He needs to repay. Okay, see you next time for A Word to the Wise.